trade winds are blowing for the 49ers. According to Ian Rappaport, the 49ers are receiving calls around Trey Lance. It's important to note that the 49ers are receiving those calls, they're not making them. But here's the thing, there's another rumor out this morning that the 49ers have been discussing trades with several teams and actually have a trade in place, a potential trade in place for a second, early third round pick. Now, that makes a lot of sense. You make those calls now around the draft time. If that player that you want to take is available, you pull the trigger. If the player isn't there, then you don't pull the trigger. Teams do that all the time, but you start to put together the Rappaport report this morning, together with the rumor of the 49ers having a trade in place for a second, early third. And then on top of that, the 49ers' interest in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback out of UCLA, who has good movement skills, good arm strength, and it sure seems like there's a lot of smoke around a specific player in San Francisco and a potential trade for said player. Now, with the 49ers, you know the one thing is that there could be some questions with Brock Purdy. Rappaport mentions that in his report as well. That makes sense. But here's the thing. I think that the 49ers are aware of where Brock Purdy is in his recovery, and they are probably pretty comfortable with the fact that Purdy will be able to attend most of training camp and be ready for start of the year. If they don't feel like that, then there wouldn't be a trade for the quarterback, meaning for Trey Lance. So it's something to keep an eye on. We're about a week away from the draft. The draft's going to start a week from tomorrow. So like I said, there's a lot of smoke, a lot of talk around the 49ers in a trade as we get ready for the draft. Is only a week away. And as I mentioned, Ian Rappaport reporting that the 49ers are receiving calls from several teams about Trey Lance. And here's one potential landing spot for Lance. It's been discussed already. The Houston Texans. The Texans own the number 2 pick in the draft. And there are reports that they're not really enamored with any quarterback in the draft. And how about this? Maybe they decide that they're not going to go with a quarterback there at their normal draft slot, and they're going to go in a different direction. Remember, they have the 33rd pick in round number 2. So maybe for the Houston Texans, they decide that they want to part with that 33rd pick, send that to San Francisco in exchange for Trey Lance. Makes a lot of sense when you look at the players that the 49ers have brought in. I mentioned already the interest in Dorian Thompson-Robinson, the quarterback out of UCLA. Another one is Isaiah Foskey, who is a defensive lineman out of Notre Dame. The 49ers have a need along that spot as well. They also have interest in wide receiver Jaden Reed out of Michigan State, who is expected to be a second-round draft pick at wide receiver. So there are some moves, and when it comes to the trade possibilities, Trey Lance is going to be the big name. Another one to keep an eye on. I mentioned this yesterday on the channel. Brandon Ayuk under contract for one more year. He's going to get very expensive for the 49ers after 2023. That could be another potential move as well. One other thing on a potential trade of Trey Lance. I've talked on the channel a lot how I believe that the 49ers will wait until after the draft for that trade, because of the extra cap hit that they would incur as a result of moving Lance prior to June 1st. The 49ers have been very quiet when it comes to restructuring contracts of their existing players. One of those players would be running back Christian McCaffrey. McCaffrey could free up about $7.5 million in salary cap space for the 49ers if they decide to maximize the savings by doing a new deal with the running back. Remember, when they picked up McCaffrey from the Panthers, all of his signing bonus stayed with Carolina. So the potential is there for the 49ers to open up cap space. Maybe the 49ers decide that instead of wanting, if they're going to move on from Trey Lance at some point, maybe they decide that they want to do it now, eat up that cap space now, not have to deal with an extra $5 million against the cap next year, which is what would happen if it was a post-June 1 trade. So again, a lot of smoke around a trade with the 49ers. 49ers are receiving a lot of calls when it comes to Trey Lance. We're going to find out what happens here, but we're a week away from the draft. Remember, next Thursday is round 1. So Is Trey Lance going to be on the 49ers next Thursday night or next Friday night when the night ends and they get ready for the next day of the draft? We'll find out. Keep it locked in here to Inside the 49ers with Jack Hammer for all your 49ers breaking news and updates as they happen. Take care, everybody. Make sure you hit that like button and subscribe button on your way out. Thanks for watching. We'll talk to you soon.